Hello everyone and welcome to another VASaviation video. In this VASaviation lesson, we'll go over something that many of you have been asking for a lot via Twitter, email, and YouTube comments. This is charts and how to read and understand them. In this lesson, we'll focus on SID or Instrument Departure Chart and the STAR or the Arrival Chart, and we'll be working under the Jeppesen format. Aeronautical charts may become a complete nightmare if we don't know what they mean or show. There are many different formats and each country may have its own particular one for the airports of that country. For today's lesson, we will base on Jeppesen format and working over the Asturias Airport Lima Echo Alpha Sierra, and I'll show some of the differences from the national Spanish format. We will start reading the chart from the top left corner all the way to the bottom right corner. The first we encounter on this chart is the airport's name or the closest city or geographical information and the country. In our example, Asturias, Spain. Below and over a black box, the type of chart. In this case, this is a SID, which means Standard Instrument Departure. Following to the top right corner, we find the date on which the chart was issued or the revision date in case of amendment or necessary change. Right next to it, and inside a kind of circular box or holding pattern, we see the number or identification of the chart itself. This chart is the 10-3 Alpha of Asturias Airport. Right at the corner, the airport's name and both ICAO 4-letter and IATA 3-letter codes. It's time to contemplate the picture of the chart or the plan view. A person that is not accustomed to seeing these charts will see just colors, crazy lines, and random numbers. All the information and data shown on the chart has its meaning and its own why. We can read this part different ways. We have some bold black lines which mean the flight path the airplanes are supposed to follow. These lines represent the departure path horizontally and what turns and where the aircraft should fly. Then we have minor gray lines and arrows pointing in several directions but radiating from the same position. These arrows represent radials from a VOR station. In this case, this departure procedure is based on the Victor Echo Sierra VOR, so those arrows give us information to intercept and cross different radials in order to follow the departure path. Another lesson about radial and bearing interceptions is also coming soon. If you're familiar with flying IFR, I'm sure you'll understand most of the information of the flight path. In case you don't, charts more than normally have a little piece of explanation somewhere. We've said all these procedures are based on the Victor Echo Sierra VOR, so we'd like to know something about that radio station. We can see that Victor Echo Sierra VOR stands for Asturias VOR with frequency 112.4, and the Morse code is also given. There are charts on which coordinates and even elevation of the station can be given as well. The small letter D inside the box stands for DME. DME distances are usually represented with the letter D followed by the distance in nautical miles. This distance can be given in order to start a turn as information for a crossing point, or for a DME arc, which is a constant distance turn, one side or another. Distance between 2 points may be given as well in black color next to the flight path. Okay, we know the flight path we're gonna follow, where to turn, and what VOR we're gonna be working with, but what about my altitude or speed? We can encounter different restrictions of either altitude or speed due to noise reduction, airspace avoidance, terrain avoidance, etc. Altitude restrictions are usually shown next to the point where the restriction stands and are represented by a number and one or two lines. In our example, we can see different altitude restrictions of what's called at or above. This means to fly a fix or point at or above the altitude shown in the chart. For instance, the point Repso has a restriction of flight level 070. We must overfly Repso intersection at or above flight level 070. This is represented by a line underneath the altitude number. Two more restrictions may take place regarding the altitude. At or below, represented by a line above the number, and the at restriction, represented by a line above and another underneath the altitude number. Airspeed restrictions are shown by a 3-digit number and the letters KT or KIAS. In our example, we have a maximum allowed airspeed of 240 knots indicated when turning into the DME arc. An MSA or minimum sector altitude will also be shown in a brown-red color indicating the outer limits, all the inside associated sectors, and sector altitudes. The MSA usually extends 25 miles from a VOR. If the extension is different than the standard, it will be indicated graphically. Grid MORAS or minimum of route altitude will be shown in bold gray color. Bigger number stands for thousands and small number for hundreds. A good and visible feature we find on this type of charts is the terrain information represented in different colors according to the elevation. Darkest orange colors represent higher terrain, as we can see in the altitude data box. Extra high terrain information can be provided precisely by a fat arrow pointing an altitude number in feet. Orientation information is also provided in order to maintain situational awareness at all times. We have scale in nautical miles on the left side of the plan view, coordinates grid represented in light gray, and the north direction. Most of the charts, if not all, are north-headed for easier representation and understanding. The plan view of an arrival chart is almost the same with little differences of information. We can find the minimum altitude of a particular leg or the MHA or minimum holding altitude. The holding pattern is a topic to which we could dedicate another whole lesson if you'd like to. On some charts, the holding pattern is directly represented over the picture. In the Jeppesen's case, they are usually picked out and represented separately with all the necessary information such as MHA, inbound radial, radio station, etc. We complete the chart by reading all the extra information inside the big boxes. These boxes may contain extra information about gradients of climb, airport elevation, transition altitude, possible obstacles, possible radio interferences, air traffic control frequencies, expected time of route according to ground speed, etc. We finally take a look at the bottom left corner to note recent changes, if any. Always make sure to have the most recent charts with you. If your charts are not updated, changes may have taken place and you may be flying under the wrong procedures. Don't hesitate and ask the air traffic controller for confirmation or an amendment or change of procedure. We finished the lesson about the departure and arrival Jeppesen charts. There are many more formats out there and we could go over them as well if you'd like. Just let me know on the comments below. Also let me know any other topic you'd like me to do a lesson for and we all will learn together. I really hope you enjoyed the content and learned new things about the aviation world. If you have also any questions related to this lesson or any other topic, don't hesitate and leave it right below on the comment section. It's VASaviation, frequency change approved, and see you guys.